statement on deleted social post featuring Angel Reese and Paige Bueckers appearing to make a friendly wager on yesterday's Dream Wings game. Quote, while the social media post was intended to be lighthearted, WNBA players are well aware of the league's policies prohibiting betting on WNBA games and receive training every year reinforcing those policies. We recognize that the post missed the mark, removed it shortly after it was published, and addressed the matter in—
The league deleted its own post, admitted it missed the mark, and then immediately tried to shrink the entire controversy into a harmless joke. But if nothing serious happened, why did the WNBA feel the need to address it internally?
Girl, you're my angel, you're my darling. Angel, it didn't seem like a joke to Angel Reese either.
Yeah, I'll be requesting my Apple Pay after this. No, I mean, Paige is a great player. When you, hold her to 16 points, it's tough. She's just so good, and her mid-range is obviously so good.
I'll be requesting my Apple Pay after this.
That is the clip creating the problem. Angel Reese did not sound confused about the supposed wager. She said she would be requesting her Apple Pay, laughed, and then transitioned into praising Paige Bueckers' performance. Maybe that was playful trash talk between two competitors. Maybe no money was ever transferred. But the league cannot ask everyone to ignore the obvious implication after publishing the interaction on its own official account. And the most important detail is not the amount, whether it was $400 or $40. The issue is perception. Professional leagues build strict gambling policies because even the appearance of players having a financial interest connected to a game can damage public confidence. The WNBA's statement recognizes that exact danger when it says conversations about wagering can have negative consequences. Yet the statement also appears designed to make the controversy disappear without explaining what actually occurred. That contradiction is why people are not moving on. And later we need to discuss the part that should concern the league even more than the original video: the standard it creates for the next player who makes a similar joke.
Alexa Filippo lets us all know there will be no punishment for Reese or Bueckers. Poor source. The WNBA's own Twitter handle, think it's a flex showing these two gambling, deletes it, tells everyone it's lighthearted, and reminds everyone not to gamble as it's against league policy. Say that out loud to yourself.
According to the commentary shown there, no public punishment was expected for Reese or Bueckers. That does not prove there was secret favoritism, and an internal review does not automatically require a suspension. But silence creates its own story. When a league announces that a rule-related matter has been handled internally, while withholding every meaningful detail, fans are left to decide whether the response was proportionate. Was there an actual wager? Was it only a joke made before the game? Did either player receive a warning? Were coaches or team officials involved in the review? Did the league confirm that no payment changed hands? Those are basic questions, and the official statement answered almost none of them. Instead, the league emphasized annual policy training and said it would use the moment to re-emphasize those policies. That wording suggests the players already knew the boundary, so the defense cannot simply be that nobody understood how the clip would look. The league itself posted it, promoted it as entertaining content, deleted it, and then reminded everyone that the behavior being joked about is prohibited, even without proving misconduct. That is a communications failure from the
Crazy. This league can't be taken seriously at all. Flow maxing. To be fair, I've been saying a lot of things out loud these last 3 years covering the WNBA. It's crazy that it's believable. It's crazy that it's the truth. It's crazy that the things that get reported on around the WNBA, if you didn't know, you'd be like, oh, Ben, you're just trolling, Ben. Ben, you're just joking. There's no way a league actually does this. There's no way a professional business actually carries themselves this way. You must be joking. But then you realize, oh, he's talking about the WNBA. Of course, yeah, no.
This is where the story becomes bigger than two players. The WNBA is asking to be evaluated as a major professional sports league. That means its policies, public messaging, and disciplinary process will be examined with the same skepticism applied to the NFL, NBA, MLB, and every other league dealing with legalized sports betting. Fans are not being unreasonable by asking for clarity. Sports leagues have spent years telling audiences that integrity is non-negotiable. They require players, referees, coaches, and employees to follow detailed restrictions. They partner with betting companies, display live odds, and profit from increased gambling engagement, while simultaneously warning participants that crossing certain lines can threaten the entire competition. That creates an uncomfortable balance. The league wants betting-related revenue and attention, but it also needs a wall between the people playing the games and the people wagering on them. A joke that blurs that wall might be innocent in intent, yet still reckless in presentation. The WNBA appeared to recognize that only after its own social media team turned the exchange into official content. The fair interpretation is that the league saw a joke.
Protected species getting coddled by the league again. Not only are they a protected species, not only is Angel Reese and Paige protected species, they're so protected, they're so endangered that the WNBA went out in the ocean, took their boats, went out in the ocean and captured them. And now they're swimming in captivity to make sure that nothing happens to them ever again. They are insulated in their own little bubble. The WNBA continues to protect the white face of the league in Paige Bueckers and the black face of the league in Angel Reese.
Calling Paige Bueckers and Angel Reese protected species is loaded language, but it captures the suspicion driving the backlash. Certain stars appear to receive more patience, softer framing, and more institutional protection than others. Bueckers entered the league with enormous expectations, national recognition, major endorsements, and the reputation of being a future face of the WNBA. Reese arrived with a massive following, a strong personal brand, and an ability to generate attention far beyond the box score. The league has obvious business reasons to promote both of them. Promotion itself is not evidence of corruption. Every professional league markets its most valuable personalities. The question is whether marketing influence changes accountability. Fans notice when controversial moments involving prominent players are described as misunderstandings, jokes, or learning opportunities, while less marketable players appear to receive harsher public treatment for smaller incidents. Not every case is identical, so one punishment cannot simply be copied onto another. Context matters, intent matters, the actual rule matters, but transparency is what allows the public to understand those distinctions. Without transparency, people naturally compare outcomes instead of
If it was addressed internally, why did Angel say she was going to get paid hours later in her post-game press conference? We want fairness over favoritism. WNBA exposes its double standards again. Not enough suspensions. Gambling is illegal for any active player on a game, more in the game. So where's the suspensions and no suspensions, no fines. They're gonna keep it in-house. They're not gonna tell it. They're gonna keep it. Oh, it's all in-house. Nobody's being punished. It's in-house. Don't worry about it. It's all in-house. Didn't happen.
That is the timeline critics keep returning to. The league says the matter was addressed internally, yet Angel Reese later publicly repeated the Apple Pay line after the game. Her comment does not necessarily prove the internal conversation happened before that press conference. The exact timing is unclear from the available material. It also does not prove she believed a real wager would be collected. Still, the repetition weakened the league's lighthearted post-explanation, because it showed the joke was not limited to one edited social media clip. Reese carried the idea into a public media setting after the game. That made it look less like an isolated caption written by an over-enthusiastic social media employee and more like an ongoing understanding between the players. Again, that understanding could have been entirely playful. Athletes make informal challenges constantly. They compete over dinner, sneakers, workouts, shooting contests, and personal pride. But wagering connected to an official league game is treated differently for a reason. Even joking language can become dangerous when the audience cannot tell whether it reflects a real agreement. The league needed to separate those possibilities. A clear statement saying its review found no wager, no transfer of money, and no attempt to influence competition would have shut down much of the speculation. Instead, it said the post missed the mark, and that policies would be re-emphasized. That is public relations language, not a factual resolution. And once an organization chooses ambiguity,
Caitlin Clark has exposed this league so bad. No wonder why they don't want any of her new fans here. This league is a mess from the top down. And every week, every other week, there's something else that gets revealed that shows how much of a mess this league has been for the last 30 years, how much of a joke this league has been for the last 30 years.
Caitlin Clark's name enters the discussion because her arrival dramatically expanded the WNBA's audience. Millions of newer viewers began watching the league, learning its personalities, examining its officiating, and questioning decisions that longtime followers may have accepted as normal. That attention is financially valuable, but it is also uncomfortable. A larger audience brings more ticket sales, stronger ratings, more merchandise demand, and greater media relevance. It also brings more scrutiny. Every inconsistency becomes content. Every questionable statement is clipped. Every policy decision is compared against previous cases. The league no longer operates inside a relatively small ecosystem where controversies can disappear after one news cycle. Some longtime fans interpret that scrutiny as hostility toward the league or its players. Sometimes it is. Certain online commentary is exaggerated, personal, or openly antagonistic. But dismissing every criticism as an attack from unwanted newcomers would be a serious mistake. New fans are customers. They are allowed to ask why a rule exists, how it was applied, and whether stars receive favorable treatment. Clark did not create the league's gambling policy. She did not publish the deleted post. She was not part of this exchange. What her popularity helped create was a larger audience that expects explanations. That pressure is not going away, even when she is absent from the controversy.
Years. The WNBA needs they need an a David Stern type commissioner. CC would get a 2-year ban, Sophie would get banned for life. You know the double standards would apply here. You have, Calvin Ridley in the NFL placing a $1,500 bet on his own team? He had to sit out a year. Hey, you got to sit down a year, buddy. Sorry. $400 in WNBA terms is like $10 million in NFL terms. Big bucks. So nothing would happen.
The comparison to Calvin Ridley is dramatic, but it demonstrates why fans react strongly to betting stories. Ridley was suspended by the NFL after betting on league games during a period when he was away from the team. His situation involved confirmed betting activity and was far more serious than an ambiguous joke between WNBA players. Treating the two cases as identical would be unfair. But nobody needs to claim they are identical to understand the broader point. Major leagues punish gambling-related conduct severely because trust is the product. Fans must believe players are trying to win for competitive reasons, not because of a private financial arrangement. The moment that confidence disappears, every missed shot, turnover, substitution, and late-game decision becomes suspicious. The WNBA therefore had two responsibilities. First, determine whether any real wager existed. Second, communicate enough information to protect confidence in the game. A private warning might be completely appropriate if investigators concluded there was no actual betting and no competitive integrity concern. Yet the league never publicly stated that conclusion in direct language. The amount also should not determine whether the issue matters. A $400 wager would not become acceptable simply because NFL salaries are larger. Rules are based on conduct, access, and competitive risk, not on a humorous conversion between league salary scales. At the same time, a verbal joke should not produce a 1-year suspension merely because a confirmed NFL betting case did. Proportionality is possible. The league could say there was no real bet, acknowledge that the language violated expectations, issue a formal warning, and publish clearer guidance. That would be stronger than either extreme, pretending nothing happened.
So what is the punishment the WNBA is going to hand out for breaking such a strong rule? I mean, if a person can get a tech for just saying, look at the scoreboard, there should be a strong punishment for gambling where fun or otherwise. Damn. NBA was joking about sports betting ever tolerated, perception alone, but this was on camera.
The scoreboard comparison brings us to selective enforcement. Fans see the league hand out technical fouls for taunting, gestures, arguments, and reactions that appear minor. Those penalties happen in real time under an officiating rulebook, while gambling investigations are handled through a separate disciplinary process. One does not automatically determine the other. But from the audience's perspective, the contrast is striking. A player can visibly lose money or affect a game because of a brief emotional reaction, while a public discussion that sounds like a game-related wager receives no announced fine, suspension, or formal discipline. Even if the processes are different, the league must explain why the outcomes look so different. This is where consistency becomes more than giving everyone the same punishment. Real consistency means applying the same investigative seriousness, publishing comparable information, and using standards that can survive when the names change. Imagine a bench player with no major endorsements making the same comments. Would the WNBA call it lighthearted? Imagine Caitlin Clark appearing in the same clip. Would the public reaction become 10 times larger, forcing the league into a more detailed response? Imagine a referee joking about collecting money based on a team's result. Nobody would accept a vague internal resolution. Those hypotheticals expose the weakness in the current approach. A policy that only appears firm when applied to less valuable people is not a credible policy. And that is the real payoff to this controversy. The league's biggest mistake may not be what it did with Reese and Bueckers. It may be the precedent it has now created for everyone else.
While the social media post was intended to be lighthearted, WNBA players are well aware of the league's policies prohibiting betting on WNBA games and receive training every year reinforcing those policies. We recognize that the post missed the mark, removed it shortly after it was published, and addressed the matter internally. We will also use this as an opportunity to re-emphasize with the players involved that conversations about wagering on WNBA games, even when intended as a joke, can have negative
Listen carefully to the official language again. The WNBA says players are well aware of the policies and receive training every year. It says the post was intended to be lighthearted. It says the post missed the mark. It says the matter was addressed internally. Then it warns that even joking conversations about wagering can have negative consequences. That statement tries to occupy every position at once. The players knew the rule, but the exchange was harmless. The post was serious enough to delete, but not serious enough to explain. The matter required internal action, but apparently not a public accounting. The conversation had potentially negative consequences, but the league would not identify any consequence for the people involved. The missing sentence is the one that mattered most. After reviewing the incident, did the league determine that no actual wager occurred? If the answer is yes, say it. If the league could not determine that, then the matter is more serious than the statement suggests. If a wager did occur, even informally, the public deserves to know how the policy applies. This is not a demand for private investigative files or confidential player interviews. It is a request for the basic finding. Sports organizations release that level of information routinely when integrity questions arise. The WNBA instead focused on the social media post, almost as though the principal mistake was publishing the video rather than the conduct depicted in it. That framing protects the players by moving responsibility toward the account administrator. It also protects the league by presenting the incident as a content error. But it does not protect public trust, because viewers can still watch Reese repeat the payment comment in her own words.
Of course not. They're both a protected species. Betting on games they're playing is a felony. Yeah. This league needs to be investigated. That's the only thing that'll clean this league up. An outside body coming in, turning over couches, going through the bookcases, seeing what's hiding behind the... and clean.
Calls for an outside investigation go further than the evidence currently supports. Based on the material presented, there is no verified proof of game manipulation, point shaving, deliberate underperformance, or a completed financial transaction. Those are extremely serious allegations, and they should not be implied without evidence. An independent review becomes appropriate when a league has a significant conflict of interest, when confirmed betting activity creates integrity concerns, or when the internal process cannot credibly establish the facts. We do not yet know that any of those thresholds were reached here. What we do know is that the league created avoidable suspicion through poor judgment and an incomplete explanation. That distinction matters. Criticism is strongest when it remains attached to what can actually be demonstrated. The WNBA posted content featuring what appeared to be a friendly wager connected to a game. It deleted the content. It acknowledged that wagering discussions can have negative consequences. Angel Reese publicly referenced requesting payment. The league did not announce a fine or suspension and did not clearly state whether an actual wager existed. Those facts are enough to question the response. There is no need to inflate the story into a proven criminal conspiracy or claim the outcome of the game was compromised. Doing that would allow the league to dismiss legitimate criticism by pointing toward the most extreme speculation. The better argument is simpler.
You can't make it up. You can't make it up. It's like, you know, the way they make excuses for them, it's like, you had a kid around the neighborhood, right? Maybe a little bit slower than everybody else. Didn't develop as fast. Oh, that's just the kid in the neighborhood. Hey, don't worry about him. Hey, don't worry about them. They didn't mean anything by it. It's okay. Treating them like they're, you know what I mean?
The mocking tone in that clip reflects how frustrated some fans have become with what they perceive as endless excuses. But there is also a counter-argument worth confronting. Players are human beings, not corporate robots. They joke with friends, tease opponents, and say things casually that are never intended as legal contracts or genuine betting arrangements. Punishing every playful comment as though it were confirmed gambling could create an absurd, joyless environment. That argument has merit. The goal should not be to criminalize personality or manufacture suspensions for viral content. Intent should matter. Evidence should matter. A private joke with no payment and no effect on competition is not equivalent to placing a bet through a sportsbook or using inside information. Yet professionalism also means recognizing context. Reese and Bueckers were not talking in a private living room. The interaction was recorded around a WNBA game and amplified by the league itself. They are prominent athletes operating in an era when sports betting is embedded throughout the industry. Annual training exists specifically because casual behavior can create serious optics. The players should receive fair treatment, but fair treatment does not mean protection from every consequence. A transparent warning, a modest fine, or a clearly documented educational response could acknowledge the distinction between a joke and confirmed gambling, while still reinforcing the boundary. The league's all-or-nothing communication made the public believe the stars were simply shielded, and that belief will affect the next case. Suppose another player jokes about owing a teammate money after covering a point spread. Suppose a coach references an over-under. Suppose an official laughs about a prop bet. The WNBA will now be forced to explain why those comments deserve different treatment from the Reese Bueckers incident. That is the precedent. Not that every joke must produce a suspension, but that vague internal handling has become the apparent standard. If the league later imposes a public penalty on a less famous...
Seen it from the top down, because it's just a mess of a league. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video, hype the video, subscribe to the channel. That means so much to me. See you next time, and as always.
So the league now faces a choice. It can leave the statement as written, accept the suspicion, and hope the news cycle moves on. Or it can clarify the central fact, explain whether a genuine wager existed, and show fans that popularity does not determine accountability. Angel Reese and Paige Bueckers should not be declared guilty of serious gambling misconduct without evidence. The available clips do not establish that. But the WNBA also should not expect its audience to treat the exchange as meaningless after its official account promoted it and Reese publicly repeated the payment line. This controversy was preventable from the beginning. Do not publish the clip. If it is published, do not issue a statement filled with unanswered questions. If players are trained every year, explain what part of the policy applies. If an investigation finds no real betting, say so directly. If a violation occurred, announce a proportionate consequence. That is how a serious sports organization protects both its players and its credibility. Transparency prevents innocent jokes from becoming conspiracy theories, and consistency prevents star treatment from becoming the accepted explanation for every decision. Now the choice belongs to you. Was this nothing more than harmless competitive banter that the internet inflated, or did the WNBA expose a real double standard by refusing to reveal what addressed internally actually meant? Leave your answer in the comments. Like the video if you want consistent accountability across the league, and subscribe for the next breakdown.